Hey there friends, welcome back to Evergreen Seniors. If you're someone who finds peace in the garden, if you love the smell of tomato vines on your fingertips, or if your idea of a perfect morning is sipping coffee while watching butterflies dance over basil leaves, then you're in the right place. I've been gardening for over 30 years now, and like many of you, I started with big hopes, a few seed packets, and a bag of fertilizer. I didn't question, but as the seasons went by, I began to wonder, was I really growing a garden, or just growing a habit I didn't need? So in today's video, I'm pulling back the curtain. I'll share the 3 biggest reasons I stopped using fertilizer altogether, and exactly what I do instead, that brought my garden back to life naturally and beautifully. Stick with me, my fellow green thumbs. We're about to dig deep, reconnect with nature, and maybe even save a little money along the way. And hey, if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. At Evergreen Seniors, we share weekly gardening wisdom that's easy to follow, budget-friendly, and rooted in real-life experience. Now, let's get started. Chapter number 1. Why synthetic fertilizer is like candy for plants, and what that means for your garden. I'll never forget the first time someone handed me that bright green box, the kind you see stacked at every big box store. They smiled and said, "Just sprinkle a bit and your garden will explode with growth." And sure enough it did. My cucumbers shot up like rockets. My peppers looked like they were on steroids. I thought I'd cracked the gardening code. But the honeymoon didn't last. Within a few weeks, my lush, vibrant plants began to droop. They stopped producing. The leaves turned pale, almost like they were pouting. And suddenly I realized something. My garden wasn't thriving. It was addicted. You see, synthetic fertilizer doesn't nourish the way nature does. It's like giving your garden a sugar rush. Sure, the growth is fast, but it's also shallow. The soil gets lazy. The roots don't reach deep, and worst of all, the beneficial microbes, those tiny helpers that keep everything in balance, begin to disappear. According to a long-term study published by the Start rebuilding the soil the way nature has done for millions of years. And you know what? The moment I stopped chasing fast results, I started finding real joy again in the slowness, the stillness, and the steady rhythm of growing things. Chapter number 2. What happens beyond the garden gate? The hidden impact of fertilizer. Now here's something most folks don't think about. When we sprinkle fertilizer into our garden beds, we picture it soaking into the soil, feeding the roots, and staying put. It feels contained, like it only affects our little slice of green. But nature doesn't work in neat little boxes. After the first heavy rain, that synthetic fertilizer starts to move. It leaches into the soil, runs off into the gutters, slips into local creeks, and from there, well, it doesn't stop. It makes its way into rivers, lakes, and even coastal waters, places far beyond your backyard fence. And what does it leave behind? According to a study by the US Geological Survey, nutrient runoff, especially nitrogen and phosphorus from fertilizers, is one of the leading causes of harmful algal blooms across the United States. These blooms deplete oxygen, kill fish, and poison the very waters we depend on. In some cases, they've even made drinking water unsafe for entire communities. All from a little extra sprinkle on a tomato plant. As gardeners, we're a special breed. We care about the land. We observe the skies. We celebrate a single bud like it's a miracle. And we don't just grow food. We grow connection, mindfulness, and often a legacy for our grandkids. That's why it hit me so hard every time I reached for that plastic bottle. I wasn't just feeding my plants. I was feeding a system that hurt the earth I loved. And let's not forget those bottles come wrapped in plastic, manufactured using fossil fuels, and often involve mining operations that scar the planet just to extract ingredients like potassium chloride and urea. It didn't sit right with me because I don't garden just to get results. I garden to be in relationship with the earth, to give something back. Rhythm. It slows you down in all the right ways. Researchers from the University of Colorado found that gardeners who worked in natural soil without synthetic additives experienced a notable decrease in stress hormones, thanks to exposure to beneficial microbes like Mycobacterium vaccae. It's not just good for your plants, it's good for you. And over time, your soil shifts. It becomes rich, spongy, full of life. You stop feeling like a manager and start feeling like a member of the ecosystem. That, to me, is the real miracle. And it's one I don't want you to miss. Chapter number 4. What I use instead. 5 natural ways to grow a thriving garden without fertilizer. So let's say you've decided to ditch the fertilizer. Good for you. Now the big question becomes, what do you use instead? Let me walk you through exactly what's worked for me and thousands of other gardeners, season after season. And don't worry, this isn't fancy stuff. It's nature's way. And the best part, it's something you can start doing today. First, I take a close look at how nature organizes itself. Think about a healthy forest. Do you see empty patches of soil? Not likely. You see layers, tall trees above, mid-sized shrubs underneath, and a living carpet of ground cover below. Everything has its place, and more importantly, everything works together. So I try to mimic that in my raised beds. I plant tall crops like tomatoes or peppers in the center. Around those I tuck in smaller plants like basil, lettuce, or even marigolds. And near the edges I let creeping plants like thyme, nasturtiums, or strawberries spill out. This layered approach keeps weeds down, holds in moisture, and reduces soil erosion. It also creates little pockets of microclimates, cooler, more humid spots that some plants thrive in. Research from the University of California's Agroecology Lab has shown that plant diversity in close proximity can increase soil resilience and reduce disease pressure, all without a drop of fertilizer. Next, I let the plants feed each other. That's right, some plants are generous. Lower leaves on kale, snip back my basil to encourage bushiness, and harvest herbs frequently. This simple action triggers a hormonal response in the plant that says, uh-oh, I'm being eaten, I better grow faster. It's a natural growth booster, and a whole lot cheaper than blue crystals in a plastic jug. Now let's talk about poop. Yep, manure, but the good kind. I'm not talking about raw barnyard waste, but properly aged, well-balanced manure, like chicken, rabbit, or worm castings. These natural sources are loaded with the micronutrients and beneficial bacteria that feed the soil without burning your plants. Just a small handful mixed into the root zone is enough to supercharge your garden's health. A recent Oregon State University study found that gardens amended with composted chicken manure had 30% more active soil microbes compared to those using synthetic nitrogen sources. Finally, I feed my garden with compost, not chemicals. Every few weeks, I scatter a fresh layer of compost over my beds, about an inch or two thick. Whether homemade or from a trusted supplier, compost is like comfort food for your soil. It holds moisture, encourages worm activity, and replenishes the nutrients your plants actually need. Think of it like this. If fertilizer is fast food, compost is a home-cooked meal. It might take a little longer, but the long-term benefits are far greater. And here's the best part. For gardeners like us who cherish quiet mornings, dig with bare hands and light up when a sunflower peeks open. These methods don't just work, they connect us back to why we started gardening in the first place. To feel grounded, to grow something real, to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Chapter number 5. The 3 pillars of a thriving garden. Weather, waste, and wildness. Here's the truth, plain and simple. Great gardens don't come from bags. They don't come from flashy labels or miracle claims. They come from understanding and respecting the natural systems that already know what to do. I call them the 3 W's: weather, waste, and wildness. Let's start with weather. Just means your garden is alive and well. Final thoughts. Slow gardening for a fast world. In a world that's always rushing, scrolling, clicking, hurrying from one task to the next, gardening reminds us to slow down. It calls us back to something ancient and real. Every time you tuck a seed into the soil, or take a quiet moment to water your tomatoes, you're practicing something radical. Patience, trust, reverence for the earth. And isn't that beautiful? Here on Evergreen Seniors, we believe gardening isn't just about food. It's about wellness. It's about creating space to breathe, to reflect, to reconnect with something greater than ourselves. So whether you're tending a few pots on your patio or caring for a full backyard garden, I hope you feel encouraged today. You don't need synthetic shortcuts to grow something amazing. You already have what it takes. Your care, your time, and your hands in the dirt. Let's grow a little slower, a little wiser, and a whole lot more in tune with the earth. If this video inspired you, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps support the channel. Drop a comment below and tell me what's one natural method you've used that worked wonders in your garden. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Evergreen Seniors for more stories, tips and inspiration crafted just for gardeners like you. Until next time, stay grounded, keep growing, and as always, trust the garden.